fatherlessness that's sweeping every nation. Number one. Number two, the sex sins. Yes, David was a great man, but Solomon maxed out what David did once. Solomon did a bunch of times. And all of his wisdom couldn't stop father to son, Solomon and his wives, which ultimately brought him down. Sex sins. Eli was what? Judged because he wouldn't take care of his sons. Moses was almost cut off. Because of why? He hadn't circumcised, taken responsibility of his son. The responsibility of the sex sins to be eradicated from within a community, the moral purity, the new standard. Second message. Third message is real men grow up and take responsibility. And what's that mean? First, you have to take responsibility for yourself. I am a sinner. I've blown it. I'll go make it right, which is huge. Some men never get off of page 1. But then after you take responsibility, yes, it's true, then you take responsibility for your family. And some men are still working on taking responsibility for their family. And that's a huge issue. Well, it's my wife's fault, or it's my in-laws' fault, or it's my job's fault. And some guys never get off of step number 2, which is learning to take responsibility for their family and own it. And then yourself, and then your family. Then take responsibility for those kids. Take responsibility for shaping those kids. And then another level out, take responsibility for your church. It's the pastor, it's his job. It's the mayor, his job, or whatever it is. You lean on somebody else to do something for you. And God says when you grow up, maturity does not come with age. It comes with the acceptance of responsibility. That's why some young men are more mature at 15 than others are at 50. Because some men are willing to say, yes, it's true, and I'll help in the family. And some men in my city with their gold chains and their Harleys and their cars are on their third or fourth trophy wife, and they're still at 50. Unresponsible little kids that have never grown up. And you learn to take your own stuff, and then you deal with your family, and then you say, I want to help the church, and you grow in your spirit, where you can take more responsibility. And then God says, work in your church, and then he says, step another level. I want you to begin to pray over your community. Dr. Cole said to me, Robert, stop pastoring your church, pastor the city. And I said, oh God, how do I do that? He said, it's yours. Take responsibility. Don't act like it's them, it's yours. And that word in and of itself, Kong Hee for Singapore, or for wherever you are, whatever nation, it's your nation. It's not the nation. It's your situation. You can do it. You see, I smuggled Bibles for years. I smuggled Bibles with Brother Andrew. And one thing I learned over there in the 70s and 80s is that the communists rule a nation with 3%. 3% Communist Party members. What's the deal? You don't have to own the whole nation. You just have to shape the influencers. You just have to get to the ones who are going to make a difference, and you rule with them, and it'll all trickle downhill. Strategic influence. And you begin to grow in your responsibility, and pretty soon you take responsibility for your nation. And some of you, why you're being so challenged this week, is because you're called to take responsibility for the world. And that's what happened to Art the other night. That thing came on him. It's a global thing. It's a kingdom thing. It's not a church. It's not a city. It's every tribe, every tongue. It's every ethnic group. Oh, God, give us the nations. And you'll burst something within your spirit. You need to take responsibility for the greater things. And your conversion experience is growing in responsibility. Jesus said to Peter, do you love me? Of course I do, vertically. What did he say? Feed my sheep. Second time, Peter, do you love me? I already told you I loved you. Yeah, you didn't get it though. Take responsibility for people. Feed my sheep. Peter, a third time, do you love me? I've told you twice. What's the deal, Jesus? Can't you read my lips? I've told you, I'm your man. I dance, I sing, I worship. He says, I don't care about your vertical right now until it's lived horizontal. Take responsibility for my people, for my sheep. Take responsibility. And you'll know how mature you are by how much responsibility you're taking in this life. It's not speaking in tongues, as good as that is. It's not the gifts. It's, oh God, am I growing in my capacity to be a bigger person in my spirit? And some of you, that's what's going on inside you. You're expanding who you are. You're becoming the man and the woman of destiny that He's called you to be. The message, manhood and Christ-likeness are synonymous. But the sex sins must be dealt with. The curse of fatherlessness, irresponsibility to nations and to cities and to churches and to families must be dealt with. And taking responsibility is the message for the time. But the method, what's the method? Number 2, the method is through mentoring. Everybody say mentoring. You all know the scriptures. But the scripture that is in my heart is 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2. It says, "And the things you have heard me say," you all know this, I'm not giving you anything new. "And the things you've heard me say in the presence of many witnesses, entrust to faithful or reliable men who will be great, qualified to teach others also." 4 generations are there. Paul, Timothy, faithful men, trust others also. Paul always had 4 generations in his spirit. He never had one. 4 generations in his spirit. I want to model something real quick here. I'd like my family to come forward. I'd like John King to come forward. I'd like Ed Netland to come forward with Dr. Cole. I'd like you to come forward real quickly. I want to talk to you about this mentoring process. John King said something the other day that was so important. He said, "We don't need another one of your programs. What we need is a mentor. We don't need you to throw another book or seminar at us. We need a man who will walk with us this way." I want to share something that had happened to me, and when Dr. Cole says, "The philosophy that you imbibe sets the course of your life." Do you remember that? The philosophy of other men, the philosophy that you accept. There's something here. Where's Dr. Cole? He's talking, hey, Jack King. He's having a meeting over there. I want you to see something. This is Ed Netland. And it's a prophetic thing. John King, you want to thank God for me? You thank God for him. You see, what happened was, when I got out of the Special Forces, after I dodged a draft, went back in and did the Special Forces thing, I came home clueless of what to do. I was saying, "Oh God, show me something to do with my life. Show me how to stay saved and be legal." And one morning in Santa Ana, California, a man at a Bible study said, "You need to go over and talk to the leaders of Brother Andrew's organization, Bible Smuggling, and let them talk to you about your life. You're in the physical Special Forces, maybe God will talk to you about the spiritual Special Forces." And I walked into a room. I'd never met this man before, and I've only seen him now a couple times in the last 20 years. We ran into each other again with Dr. Cole. I lost this man in my life. He was there just for a fleeting 12-minute moment. This was my 12-minute moment, John. John spoke the other morning about men making an impact in his life. Maybe maximum 12 to 15 minutes. I walk in as a puppy, man. I'm clueless. I got a big heart, big desires, don't know what to do. And this man broke the paradigm open in my life. He said, "Kid, what are you going to do with your life?" And I said, "Try to stay saved." That was funny. Try to stay saved? I didn't know what to do with my life. My dad's a judge. He wanted me to be straight and be in law and all that kind of stuff. And I was pulled to other things. And he said, "What do you do with your life?" I said, "I don't know." He said, "Son, there's a destiny in your life. I'm going to walk out of here with a couple other men, and I'm going to come back in 15, 20 minutes, and I expect to have a mission statement, or if God would write